In this video, we're going to resume the restoration of this old Evinrude 90 horsepower two-stroke engine. We took a couple of months off. There was other things we had to get done, so we got those done, and the weather's actually become amenable. It's dropped down a few degrees to less than 8,000 degrees and 500% humidity. Not really, but it's been pretty nasty here. Anyway, before we start, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, get notified when we put up videos in the future. Alright, so what I'm going to be doing is taking the carburetors off, going as far back as I can so I can inspect the reeds, make sure they're in good condition. We're going to rebuild these carburetors. Don't really know if it needs it or not, but the odds are, with the age of this engine and the amount of time it's been run, and it was probably run, to the best of my knowledge, back when ethanol gas was introduced. So if this thing had any ethanol gas, those carburetors probably all gunked up. So we're going to go ahead and clean them out, rebuild them anyway. The kits were cheap. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time explaining how we took this apart. It is fairly self-explanatory. I'm basically disassemble and take screws and bolts out. But anyway, what I will say is that every single bolt, every single nut on this unit was 7/16. You do have to disconnect the shift and accelerator cable. Of course, you want to disconnect the hoses, and then once you get there, you'll have 8 7/16 bolts that you got to get off. Pulling the carburetor out slightly will help remove the lower bolts, but other than that, it's all fairly straightforward, getting it all disconnected and taken apart. All right, so I'm not going to take the manifold off. I'm going to use a flashlight, and I might use an inspection camera, maybe, just to get in there. But I think I can see the reeds. I just have to get a good strong flashlight to look at it. And what I'm looking for is to see if there's any fraying, chips or cracks in the reeds. And if there is, then we got to take this off and we'll replace the reeds. I actually have some of those reeds left over from the last project that will probably work in this engine. Let me go get a strong flashlight. So here's the reeds. I got a light on them. What we're looking for, we can see the back of the reed. Typically the backs of the reeds are fine. They don't have any problems with them. It's the front of the reeds that you would be looking for missing pieces, cracks, frays, anything that looks abnormal. So far from what I'm seeing, these actually look really good. They look like they've been replaced. Yeah, they're almost like a V. So each one of these intakes from the carburetor has basically four reeds like this. And what happens on the intake stroke, they open up and let the fuel flow go in. On the compression stroke, they close and allow compression to happen. I'm going to see if I can give you a shot of all 4 reeds. I think I can. If we look in there, you can see on both sides that V I was talking about, and the reeds. So there's 2 on each side. So this is just a disassembly segment so that we can get to the parts, clean them, replace any parts that may be needing replacement. Definitely will replace this gasket. So on with the disassembly. Haven't decided whether we're going to replace these hoses or not. I'm just afraid these old plastic fittings are very brittle. If that breaks, the odds are this carburetor's shot. This gets removed, and here's for the interesting part. Well, wanted to mention a lot of these old Evinrudes and Johnsons I work on, they got these little plates in their carburetors that tell you basically what type of carburetor it is, horsepower. And one thing that's interesting, they may have several different carburetors throughout the model year. Just one of those things. The other thing is that this carburetor has fixed jets. There is no idle jet adjustment for it, and there's 2 jets on this one, and I think this is unique to the 1982-1983 model years. Now, one thing I'll mention is that these rebuild kits are for several different carburetors, so there's going to be an excess of parts. These things would be idle jet limiters, if I'm not mistaken, which this carburetor doesn't use. But what we want is these little O-rings. We want to replace those. And we'll run these through a quick cleaning. Yeah. I get you. Alright, so after we've got everything replaced, the needle valve, the seat, if you replace the seat, the float, what you want to do is adjust the float height. Now, going through the manual, it'll tell you exactly, once you find the correct carburetor you should be working on in the manual, the amount of depth or drop that should be available on the float. So what that means, in this case, it's 7/8 to 1 1/8. And I don't have this gauge that they keep referring to, unfortunately, but what it means is from the base to this tip should be 1 1/8, and this is obviously a bit more. Now, to adjust that, you don't want to bend this. Trust me, I speak from experience. What you want to do is adjust this little tang here. So in order to drop it more, you want to bend it in some. So let me grab a needle nose and bend it in just a hair, and then we'll remeasure it again. That looks to be 1 1/16. I actually like it, take it to the outside of the limit, but 1 1/16 it's perfect. That's right, pretty much almost right in between the specs that it calls for. So after that, we can go ahead and seal it up. Alright, so the carbs are rebuilt. What we're going to do now, we're going to mount the carbs, connect the fuel hoses. We're not going to put together everything that we did just yet because we're going to check for leaks. I've got a nice fuel tank that's got some ethanol free. It's set up for 40-to-1, and it's got a known working fuel hose. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. We'll test for leaks first. If that looks good, then we're going to go ahead and assemble everything and try to start it. Well, we've got it all together. The leak is resolved. Well, it's not all together. I put this on. We're going to try to start it. And I'm going to check for two things, of course. Any other leaks that are going on. Make sure that the floats in the bowl are sealing. So I shouldn't get any excess gas in here. And see what happens. Right now we're getting ready to hook a jump starter to it so that we can give it a shot.
I'm going to turn the water.
In case you're wondering, we're using this Golo or Gulu jump starter. This thing's amazing. It's actually there's a video I did, you can see it here if you want, where we tested, actually turned over this engine with this thing, and it cranked it up like it was nobody's business. Alright, so it didn't start. Two problems we encountered. One, the starter keeps spinning no matter what, so you got to shut the key off. I think it would have started and ran had I not had to turn the key back off to keep the starter from spinning. So let me research that, do some troubleshooting on that. I'm going to take the carbs back off. I'm not going to do another video on it. I'm going to readjust the floats. Actually, I'm going to put the original needle valves back in because I think the new needle valves don't fit correctly with the old ones. And then just double check the float adjustment. We'll do that. And we're back out here. It's a couple of days later. We're right where we left it off. Fuel hose is connected. We're going to do a quick test, make sure there's no leaks. And Joseph's pumping it up till he gets resistance. Keep going. I can hear it.
That's good. I got resistance.
Perfect. Carbs are filled up. He's getting resistance on the little siphon pump, and we're going to hook up. We're going to hook up a jump starter and put some water on and see what happens. Hit the button again. I go for it. I turned it off because I'm not getting any water. But we got it started. So before we shut down this video or end it, one of the things that I remembered, actually one of the things my son remembered was these things get clogged up with dirt, the output jets. So we checked the hoses and it looked like they're all flowing good except for the very output. So we've cleaned that out. We're going to give this one more shot. We're going to see if it actually pisses water. Let's try it and see. Ready? Shit. Damn it. Hold on. It's red.
I gotta reset it, I think.
phase 3 is done. We know it runs. I think what we got to do, I'm going to check the electrical too and make sure that all the cylinders are sparking, all 4 of them. I think they are. It's running about what I would expect a 2-cycle 90 with 4 cylinders to run. It sounds right to me. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, hit share and like, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.